So, I just stayed awake for about 30 hours straight playing Old School RuneScape, and it got me thinking, why does this decade-old game based almost purely on nostalgia manage to keep my attention this much? Do you know how many times I saw the purple letters in the chat box that say, "You've been playing for a while, consider taking a break from your screen"? Probably too much for a 31-year-old man. It's kind of strange, actually. Without context, if I had told you that I spent more than 30 hours watching a virtual guy mine some rocks and chop some trees in a spin-off game based on a 2007 version of an MMO, you'd probably think I was crazy. But it's somehow engaging in a way that I can't really explain. And for being honest, this is the only game that can do this to me. And I just want to know why. Recently I got a couple days off of work, so I decided I'll just jump back in and check out what I've been missing, and all of a sudden, it has me in its clutches again. I've been playing so damn much that I feel like at the end of this week I'm going to start spelling color with a U. I discovered the game in 2006 when I was just 13 years old. I guess that's a huge reason as to why people still play the game today. I can still picture pulling all-nighters when I had school the next day. I didn't care much since all my friends at school were doing the same thing in computer lab. Saying the game was huge in 2006 would be a major understatement. You gotta understand that back in 2006, a free game that you could run in an internet browser was absolutely huge. I mean, the game being fun helped, of course, but the accessibility of it cemented it as one of the best MMOs out there at the time, competing with like World of Warcraft and EverQuest, Toontown Online, and I played all three. Oh, and shout out to City of Heroes too. And despite all of this, I always come back to RuneScape. At least I got brownie points in middle school when my science teacher asked the class what bronze was made of, and I knew the answer. Copper and tin, boy. A common saying in the fandom is, you never really quit RuneScape. You only take longer breaks. And I really do agree. I've probably had 30 or so accounts over the years, and sometimes I'd log into one of them just occasionally, and I'd see the message at the top that says, "You logged in over 1,000 days ago." I find that a lot of my enjoyment is how quick the beginning of the game goes, with how fast you get to upgrade your equipment, and due to how the game handles experience and leveling, it comes with the awful downside of the end game being a total slog, as the experience curve goes up dramatically as you approach level 99. Because of this, another common saying in the community is level 92 is half of level 99, which is technically correct, the best kind of correct. For those who don't know, RuneScape isn't really a free game. I mean, they offer a pretty sizable portion of the map to play on for free. For example, here's the world map, and here's what free players get. It's pretty big, don't get me wrong. There's actually a huge community of people who only do the free-to-play stuff. However, that's about 25% or so of things to do in the game. I remember back then being so envious of my friends who got membership. I would stare at the world map back then and just wonder what those places were like. The game has a great way of teasing it just enough to get your curiosity running wild. Like, for example, there's this spot north of one of the major towns where there's this gate that free players can't get through, but you can see over it. I would spend so much time at that gate, totally envious of what might be on the other side. And back then, because the internet wasn't so accessible, like if your fucking mom wanted to be on the phone, well, you're not playing RuneScape today. And it's not like today where if you don't know something in a game, you just pull out your phone and Google it and figure it out, and there you have the information. No. Back then, what you had was playground rumors and stuff like, oh, you can get over the fence if you just clip through here. But for me, it was mostly just clicking around in the chat box saying, I can't reach that, or nothing interesting happens. The game would keep its massive popularity for years until around 2012 when RuneScape would announce a total overhaul of the combat system. This has been widely regarded as a bad move. Instead of the basic point-and-click combat, it would alter the future of the game negatively forever. Saying this update was kinda bad is like saying Sydney Sweeney is kinda hot. I really did try to like it, but it just wasn't the same game anymore. It was totally unrecognizable, riddled with microtransactions that make mobile games look tame in comparison. Terrible art style, and worst of all, it fucking sucked. It still sucks. It's like the entire team at Jagex drank a whole gallon of stupid juice and idiot ice cream for dessert. It's like when you see an ex from a relationship that you thought was great in high school, only to realize now that she's into hard drugs. If I had a nickel for every time this happened to me, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. Seeing the dwindling numbers, eventually Jagex would come out with a version of the game preserved from 2007, my childhood incarnate. This would go on to be the version that I play today. That's called Old School RuneScape. So popular, in fact, that more people play this version than the modern version. I mean, even now I play with the music turned on because it just holds such a deep place in my heart. Starting a fresh account and hearing Newbie Melody, landing in Lumbridge, hearing Harmony, and of course going to Port Sarim and hearing what else but Sea Shanty 2. While playing recently, my partner remarked, "I can see where you get your sense of music from," which I guess somehow I subconsciously do manifest a little bit of the game's soundtrack into my own music. Also, one of the best compliments I ever received. So today, I'm going to take you on a bit of a self-indulgent nostalgia trip. And by the way, I have a Patreon now, so if you want to support me, link is in the description. YouTube won't monetize me since I reuse content, because apparently fair use doesn't exist, so hey, fuck me, I guess. Back in 2001, Andrew Gower and his brother Paul were working on a little browser game in their parents' house in Nottingham, England. They released the beta for RuneScape in January, and by December, they, along with a dude named Constant Tedder, formed Jagex. This being 2001 and everyone programming things in arbitrary and somewhat chaotic ways, the game was written in a programming language called RuneScript. Surely this won't bite them in the ass later. The game would continue to be worked on and updated multiple times a month for years. This video was originally going to be a timeline video like my other ones, but seeing that there's records of pretty much every update released since 2001, the video would have been like 15 hours long, but if you guys want to see that, then fuck it, why not? Actually, here's what we'll do. We'll lightning round the important ones. Alright. February 2002, the Members Program is introduced to support the game. It's a huge success. December 1st, 2003, the beta for RuneScape 2 is announced, completely upgrading the graphical engine to 3D graphics. This becomes the main game, and the other one becoming RuneScape Classic. May 16th, 2006, Jagex upgrades the game engine once again to support HD graphics, leading to this legendary image that most of us nostalgically yearn for. June 6, 2006, aka 666. The Falador Massacre occurred. Over the next few years, the game would get translated to other languages, get major game updates, some good, some bad, and some, well, February 28th, 2012. Squeal of Fortune. A deadly warning. A silent storm of things to come. The top advertisement banner above the free-to-play game simply wasn't enough. The membership costs weren't enough. A lone tear falls down my cheek. Squeal of Fortune was a daily login mechanic that allowed you to win items every day just by logging in. Sounds great, right? Wrong. Very wrong. Fuck you. A month later, they allowed you to spend real money for more spins. You see where this is going. If you don't, let me spell it out for you. Predatory microtransactions for a game that mostly children play. Children have soft, squishy brains that are easily manipulatable. That's no good! Players on the forums rose up and voiced their disagreement. Surely Jagex will hear the screams and listen, right? Right? July 2012, Solomon's General Store. You can now buy cosmetics with real-world money. And this would continue on, and on, and on. Thanks, Obama. RuneScape 3 eventually launches, free from the clutches of an internet browser and into its own program window. The game continues to receive updates through the years, both well-received and poorly received. However, the player count starts to dwindle. And then, the unthinkable. February 2013. A poll appears above a blog post on the RuneScape website. Last week, Mod Mark posted a thread on our forums highlighting some of the nostalgic and often passionate discussion within the community around a desired return of an old-school version of RuneScape. Specifically, the fine vintages of 2006 and 2007 appeared to be the high point of collective interest. Our team then set out to see if we had a backup that went that far back, if restoring the backup was even technically possible, and what specific content these potential old RuneScape backups might contain. Finally, I'm very happy to report that we have indeed managed to recover a full RuneScape backup from August 2007. This is a complete snapshot of the game, which we have been able to verify would work with some time and effort invested in it. Ironically, in October 2007, we actually changed our backup systems, so we have no complete content versions from August onwards that are viable for this purpose. This was it. A spark of hope. They listened to us. My butt cheeks clenched in excitement. Though Jagex has burned me before, surely they Suddenly, I'm transported back to middle school, being flooded with memories. After logging in, I made my character, went through Tutorial Island, and when I landed in Lumbridge, I just stood there. I remember the first time I saw dragon equipment. Back then, it was total cool to Giga Chad move to just stand here in the free-to-play world with your badass members-only armor and flex on the pores. I hate to say it, but it kind of worked. It actually did make Kid Me jealous. I stared with stars in my eyes at the blood-red set of armor, wondering if I would ever get the chance to wear it. To this day, it still has a kind of nostalgic essence that still drives me to strive for it even now. I remember the first time I got scammed. It's a pretty common meme, but it really did happen quite a lot back then. Most players have a story or two about it. Being 2006, there was no RuneScape wiki, and nobody really had the kind of access and knowledge that we take for granted today, so a lot of players didn't really know what went on up in the wilderness, just that you don't go there. The wilderness is a pretty sizable chunk of the map dedicated to PvP encounters, along with bosses that drop some pretty good stuff, but they run the risk of you getting killed by someone else while you're up there. The wilderness has this aura of evil to it. When you're in it, you get the feeling like you shouldn't be here. It's a brilliant setting both lore-wise and aesthetic-wise. Anyway, a common scam was for higher level players to come up to noobs like me and say, "Hey, look at this dope armor I just got. It spawns up in the deep wilderness." And then you follow him, of course, because you don't know any better. You're just a dumb asshole kid. And the thing about the wilderness is, the deeper you go, the more the level discrepancy gets. So once he's deep enough, they would just kill you for whatever you were wearing. Oh, and I should mention that when you die in RuneScape, your items drop on the floor. They aren't visible for about a minute or so, and then after that, it's free game for everyone. The problem was your spawn point was so far away that you never did make it back in time. Remember that gate I was talking about earlier? Well, this is it. Even seeing it now floods my brain with dopamine. It reminds me of when I first got membership. I was so overwhelmed that I didn't know what to do first. I thought of all the time that I spent here at this motherfucking gate. So I opened it. I slowly walked through it. And I remember my little heart pounding as I walked in, and finally I was on the other side. There was a big snowy mountain nearby that I walked up and got immediately killed by the wolves, but I didn't care. There was a new enemy, a new monster. I would try all the new weapons, wear all the new armor that I was totally overleveled for, and I spent a lot of time just walking around the game in total awe. Being able to use a special attack was invigorating. Do you know the amount of dopamine that released in my little kid brain when I saw the Dragon Dagger special attack? It's fucking amazing. We fast forward to now. Old School RuneScape is vastly more popular than RuneScape 3, which, again, begs the question of the video title. Why is this game so popular? Why is it so addicting? Is it pure nostalgia? I remember when the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 remaster came out, and I remember playing those games for hundreds of hours as a kid, and don't get me wrong, I had a blast playing it, but eventually the nostalgia just kind of wears off. I mean, the game is fantastic, but I just don't really feel like going back and playing it. I got my fill. But RuneScape just has a way of beckoning me to come back. I just yearn for the low poly mines, I guess. I mean, I guess there's a lot to love. I love training fire making by making a straight line of bonfires in front of banks. I love making dicks in the chat box by typing AQP. I love standing behind a fence and killing enemies that are too fucking stupid to just walk around it. I love the completely janky animations, proving that even shitty graphics can be understood as stylized instead of dated. I love that I'm not the only one who feels this way, considering the popularity of the game even today. I love that the game is perfect for AFK stuff. I've gone through tons of shows and movies on my watch list while training skills like fishing and woodcutting on my phone. I love all the quests, especially the Goblin quest. Except Underground Pass. Fuck Underground Pass. All my homies hate Underground Pass. Bullshit. Underground pass, more like underground ass. I love the fact that Zezima isn't even around anymore, but everybody still knows his name. I love that we still get major updates and new content. Shout out to Guardians of the Rift for single-handedly saving me from the grind that is training runecrafting. I love that this even exists and that Jagex continues to make decisions based on player feedback. I mean, is it perfect? Fuck no, it's not perfect. A lot of stuff gets on my nerves. Alright, let's do a second lightning round then of things that get on my nerves. Construction downright sucks a fuck to train. Making chairs and tables over and over again, that sucks. Shortcuts around the map aren't able to be used if your agility level isn't high enough, so get running those laps, bitch. Smithing is basically useless unless you're making throwing knives, and even then you're better off just buying them if you aren't an Iron Man account. Pathfinding in this game isn't the best. I mean, there's nothing like, I can't reach that because the door around the corner is closed for some fucking reason. I hate the doors in this game. Why are some permanently open? Why do some close? Doors shouldn't be closed at all. Random events can't be turned off. No posty Pete, I don't want to help Molly. Tell her I said she could eat my entire ass. Seriously, tell her I said that. Tell her in those exact words, tell her I said that. I don't want to do your fucking event. Get at it, go. Oh, can't go into the wilderness with no armor and a shovel in my inventory without getting rushed and annihilated in 2 seconds by some scumbag with 10 million gold worth of gear spamming sit or calling me some kind of slur. This happened to me often enough that if I get a clue scroll telling me to go in the deep wilderness, I just toss it. Let me reiterate, fuck Underground Pass. In a thread on the subreddit RuneScape, KCata9 asks, why do you play OSRS? Dopamine from numbers going up. XP go brrr. Upward trajectory says, in real life, our goals are usually pretty long term, and the sense of achievement and accomplishment comes infrequently. For your mental health, it can be beneficial to have some short-term goals that let you feel like you're on the right track, like making your bed, working out, cooking a nice meal, etc. I think OSRS hacks right into this system and lets you feel like you're always on the path and progressing, even at times when you might not be progressing much outside the game. AKA, dopamine, baby. In another thread, a deleted account says, nostalgia, and the once cheated player base wants to show its love for the game. Some want to know the source of the cultural phenomenon. You don't necessarily need good graphics. RuneScape's style is very recognizable. Furthermore, there are a few MMORPGs that have this sandbox approach to leveling. Also, the quests are actual quests instead of fetch 75 boar snouts. You actually get to explore new places, do puzzles, and interact with the environment. It's an MMO version of an adventure game. You can examine just about anything you see. It can also be played actively or passively. Lots of active leveling methods and AFK methods. There's usually something for everyone. Ribbon Stocking Fetish then says, in a sea of shitty MMOs that is the internet, OSRS was a lot of people's first love. No other MMO has come close to scratching that itch that OSRS can satisfy for some. OSRS is also seen as an honest MMO, in the sense that it is not a whale milking machine like most new MMOs tend to be. You don't have to drop thousands on RuneScape to do endgame content. You pay your bond or monthly subscription like everyone else. Nowadays, most games are made with the intent of sucking as much money out of individual players as fast as possible, with gameplay mechanics and quests taking a backseat to more lucrative cash-making methods. OSRS isn't like that. Hero of Light gives a perspective that a lot of us can't have as a new player by saying, I started playing OSRS for the first time last week. I never played it before, and I'm really loving it. I don't mind the graphics, and I love the old school game mechanics. The appeal of the game for me at the moment is the simplicity, the endless progression, the open world, and questing. There's just a ton of different things to do and see. Plus there are a lot of people playing, so I have no trouble selling stuff on the GE, for example. I even met someone who offered to help me finish a quest I was on. Quests are often more interesting than your average MMO. They include more dialogue and more exotic things to accomplish. The world in OSRS does feel alive to me. It's like discovering a whole new world to learn about and discover. And with that, I think I have my answer. I guess it really does just come down to a beautiful combination of nostalgia and simplicity. It's a relic of a time when the internet was a much different place. The graphical style, reminiscent of the days of seeing PlayStation 2 cutscenes and thinking, it can't get better than this. Sometimes the game shows its age in areas, and that's okay, because it doesn't try to act modern. It fully embraces its 2007 era charm. It stays relevant in today's gaming landscape among giants like Final Fantasy XIV and World of Warcraft because of this. RuneScape 3 shows what happens when you stray too far from the basic formula. It shows that we don't need super egregious cosmetics. It shows that we don't need a hotbar full of different abilities and skills. And most importantly, it shows that sometimes being simple and refining a basic premise is enough. So to answer my question, I guess in a world of unlimited choices, it's comforting to do something familiar and relaxing, and Old School RuneScape is very good at being those two things for hundreds of thousands of people. And as always, thanks for watching.